A Kenyan nurse, a social media influencer, a man trusted to care for the most vulnerable patients inside one of Florida's most respected hospitals. You won't believe what he is now accused of doing to a woman who couldn't even stand up, let alone defend herself. This is a real criminal case, and the details are absolutely chilling. His name, Abednecho Katue. He is 46 years old, and right now, as you watch this video, he is behind bars inside the Orange County Jail with no bond, no bail, and no way out. But here is the part that will leave you completely speechless. The crime he is accused of happened over a full year before he was ever arrested, and the reason for that delay is a scandal all on its own. Stay with me, because every single layer of this story is worse than the last. Abednecho Katue, who also goes by the name Abednecho Katue online, is a Kenyan-born nurse who built a life for himself in Orlando, Florida. On the surface, everything about him looked like a success story. He was a licensed healthcare professional. He had a growing social media presence. He drove a white Range Rover. He appeared to be living the kind of life that many people in the diaspora community admire and aspire to. But beneath that polished exterior, investigators say something deeply sinister was lacking. Katue worked at a healthcare in Orlando, one of the largest and most well-known hospital systems in the entire state of Florida. He was employed as what's called a float nurse. For those of you who don't know, a float nurse is someone who doesn't work on the specific unit. Instead, they rotate across multiple departments and floors, filling in wherever there is a staffing need. That means a float nurse comes into contact with dozens, sometimes hundreds, of different patients over the course of a single month, and that detail becomes very important as this story unfolds. On January 26, 2025, an incident allegedly took place inside that hospital that would eventually lead to felony criminal charges, a year-long investigation, and a dramatic roadside arrest. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me take you back to that night. The victim in this case, a woman whose identity has been protected by the law enforcement. What we do know is that she is an amputee. She had recently undergone surgery at AdventHealth Orlando and was in the process of recovering. She was bedridden, she was physically incapacitated, and according to the criminal complaint, the man assigned to take care of her that night was Abednecho Katue. Now, here is where these allegations take a deeply disturbing turn. The victim told investigators that she was lying in hospital bed while she was using a bedpan, a moment that is already deeply personal and incredibly vulnerable. Katue allegedly inappropriately touched her. The nature of that contact, according to the charges filed against him, constitutes sexual battery on a physically incapacitated person. Let that sink in for a moment.
That nurse is being held in the Orange County Jail tonight accused of sexually battering a disabled patient. Good evening, I'm Greg Warman.
I'm Martha Sagowski. Police say the incident happened at AdventHealth in Orlando, and that's where Channel 9's Valerie Boy is joining us live from right now. Valerie, some folks are now concerned about safety when staying at the hospital.
A patient in a hospital bed recovering from surgery, an amputee who physically could not move, could not run, could not fight back, and the person she was supposed to trust with her safety, with her dignity, with her body, allegedly violated that trust in one of the most horrific ways imaginable. But that is not all.
46-year-old Abednecho Katue is charged with sexual and lewd battery upon a disabled patient at AdventHealth. It's where he worked as a nurse. According to court records, he entered the patient's room and began telling her how attractive she was and that he wanted to take special care of her. He also invited her to Kenya several times. The report states the victim advised him how uncomfortable she was talking to him, yet he continued.
Wait until you hear what happened next, because what the victim alleges occurred after she spoke up might even be more disturbing. According to the victim's account, after she reported what Katue had done, after she told hospital staff what had just happened to her, Katue allegedly returned and administered morphine through her intravenous line without her consent. A powerful opioid painkiller, a drug that sedates you, a drug that clouds your thinking, a drug that makes it very difficult to clearly communicate what happened to you. The victim believes, and she told investigators this explicitly, that Katue gave it to her deliberately as an attempt to silence her, to sedate her, to make her account less credible, to fog her memory of what had just taken place. Now, I want to pause here and say something very clearly. As of right now, these are all allegations. Abednecho Katue is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. He has not been convicted of any crime, but the charges against him are extremely serious.
Investigators say the victim had an amputated leg and a cast on her left foot. They say Katue touched her inappropriately as she used a bedpan. According to the report, she said she told him to stop. She didn't want him to touch her. She felt helpless. Investigators say after telling another nurse what happened, the suspect administered an unknown medication, even though she did not want medication, and told him to stop. Some visitors say it's a safety concern.
And the evidence that investigators say they have gathered paints a deeply troubling picture. Speaking of evidence, here is a detail that many people are not yet aware of, a detail that could prove to be the most critical element of this entire case. The victim made a recording. According to court documents and investigative reports, the victim had the presence of mind, even in her vulnerable state, to capture audio of an interaction with Katue, and in that recording, investigators say Katue can be heard making inappropriate comments about the victim's physical appearance. Now, think about that for a moment. This is a nurse, a licensed medical professional, a man who took an oath to do no harm, and while caring for a bedridden amputee, patient recovering from surgery, he is allegedly heard on tape making comments about the way she looks, comments that have nothing to do with her medical care, comments that suggest a mindset completely incompatible. But here is where the story takes yet another frustrating turn, because despite having a victim statement, despite having a recording, despite having a clear allegation of criminal conduct, it took over a year for Katue to be arrested, and the reason why might make you question the entire system. Let me walk you through the timeline, because this part of the story deserves serious scrutiny. January 26, 2025, the incident occurs at AdventHealth Orlando. The victim reports the alleged assault to hospital staff. That same day, hospital management is alerted and Katue is sent home. According to law enforcement officials, the investigation was significantly delayed because of difficulties in obtaining necessary documentation from AdventHealth itself. Now, it is important to note that the hospital has legal terms, compliance departments, and privacy regulations including HIPAA that they must navigate when responding to law enforcement requests for patients and employee records. That process can be complicated and time-consuming. But for the victim, that explanation provides little comfort, because for over 12 months, the man she accused, while she lay helpless in a hospital bed, was walking free, living his life, driving his Range Rover through streets of Orlando, posting on social media, potentially still working in healthcare settings with access to other vulnerable patients. But then on March 2nd, 2026, the walls finally closed in, and the way it happened almost feels like a scene from a crime drama. An active arrest warrant had been issued for Abednecho Katue. The charges were severe, and on that day in early March, an Orlando police officer was driving along Orange Blossom Trail, one of the most well-known roads in the Orlando metro area, and that officer spotted something, a white Range Rover. The vehicle matched the description associated with the victim's warrant. The officer ran the plates, confirmed the identity, and just like that, the chase was over before it even began. Katue was pulled over, he was taken into custody, he was transported to the Orange County Jail, and when he stood before the judge, he was denied bond. As of this recording, Abednecho Katue remains in the Orange County Jail. His arraignment, the formal court proceeding, where he will hear the charges against against him and enter a plea is scheduled for March 16, 2026 at 8:15 in the morning. Now, beyond the criminal case itself, this story has sent shockwaves through multiple communities. Within the Kenya diaspora community, particularly in the United States, this case has sparked intense discussion. Katue was known online. He had a social media following. He presented himself as a professional, a success story, someone who had made it in America, and now that entire image has been shattered by allegations of the most serious kind. It has also raised deeply important questions about patient safety in hospitals. How are float nurses supervised? What protocols exist to protect patients, especially those who are physically incapacitated? How quickly does the system respond? And why, in a case with a victim statement and audio evidence, did it take over 365 days to make an arrest? These are not rhetorical questions. These are questions that demand answers. So, what happens now? Katue's arraignment on March 16th will be a pivotal moment. At that hearing, the charges will be formally read. He will have the opportunity to enter a plea. His legal representation will begin to outline their defense strategy, and the prosecution will start laying the groundwork for what will become a lengthy and closely watched trial. Florida's laws on sexual battery are among the most stringent in the country. Sexual battery on a physically incapacitated person is classified as a first-degree felony, which carries potential penalties of up to 30 years in state prison. Other severe consequences, including significant prison time and mandatory registration as a sex offender upon conviction. The stakes could not get any higher, and while the legal processes play off, the victim in this case, a woman who was at her most vulnerable, was recovering from surgery, who could not walk, who could not run, who could not escape, is still living with the trauma of what she says happened to her on that night in January 2025. This case is far from over. The investigation may still uncover additional details. The trial, if it proceeds, will be closely monitored, and as more information becomes available, we will be bringing it to you right here on this channel. Once again, Abednecho Katue is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Everyone is entitled to due process, but the allegations in this case are severe. The evidence as described by investigators is significant, and the implications for patient safety, institutional accountability, and justice are enormous. If this story affected you, if it made you think, if it made you feel something, leave a comment below. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, because there are more stories like these, stories that the world needs to know about, coming very soon. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and always hold power accountable.